As Avenger lies trapped in the web of the great black widow, and that hideous spider crawls ever closer, he finds his mind drifting off to simpler times, moments before he was embroiled in such madness as led him to this place. How could things have got this bad? How did he come to this? Well, now we get a little insight into his past, and a time that led to all these events. A time before he was ninja. I am ninja. My parents are the heaven and the earth. My home is my body. My power is loyalty. My magic is training. My life and my death is breathing. My body is control. My eyes are the sun and the moon. My ears are sensitivity. My laws are self-protection. My strength is adaptability. My ambition is taking every opportunity with fullness. My friend is my mind. My enemy is carelessness. My protection is right action. My weapons are everything that exists. My strategy is one foot in front of the other. My trust is in Kwon. My way is the way of the tiger. Hello everybody, I'm Raphael Perry and it's time for some more of The Way of the Tiger. And in this episode, I have replayed the beginning of the book, not just up to Lemne, but defeating the monks of the Scarlet Scorpion, of the Scarlet Mantis at the bridge, and heading on to Suma. As such, I have taken a few points of damage, healed a little bit, used a point of inner force and a shuriken because the bandit warlord in Lemne bothered me somewhat and gave me a bit of a hard time, just as before. Here we see some of the last dice rolls from the end of the fight with the monks, and we are now in Suma, where I am going to probably take an unusual course of action. So, you and Aiko dress as travellers again and walk with Daon along the paved road north. The way grows busy with traders taking their wares to Lemne by palanquin, and you also see samurai patrols in green lacquered armour. The sun is setting as you are admitted into the gates of Suma, and you pass by the harbour where foreign ships are strictly kept to their own docks. In the native area of the waterfront, you notice a warship called the Setsudanki that dwarfs all others, manned by samurai in grey lacquer armour and flying a grey flag bearing the mons of 3 interlocking black rings. The chatter on the street is that the local daimyo Arai is hosting a banquet for a daimyo from the Northern Islands. You emerge out before Suma Castle, which dominates the city, a vast defensive fortification set against the sea cliffs. The stone towers are marked with grey flags bearing the mons of a black moon, but from this distance you cannot see any that bear the gold trim you seek.
The three of you head closer, passing numerous swordsmiths, armourers, and lacquerware enterprises that are closing for the night. In the background, you hear the barking of dogs from somewhere inside the castle walls. You make discreet inquiries about the gold-trimmed flag and learn that it is said to be kept in a guarded room somewhere near the banquet hall of the castle. Aiko scrutinises the outer wall and its moat. It is at times like this I'm glad for the training of a ninja. Are you thinking to sit this one out, Daon?
Ninja are not the only ones who can enter such a place, Daon replies. The Grand Master of the Dawn let two daimyo know that we were coming, so that the tests do not always call for masters of stealth or trickery. We shall see who is first to find that flag inside. May Kwon go with you both. Daon leaves at once. Aiko offers to work with you to find a way inside, but for some bizarre reason, you tell her that you prefer to work on your own, and she too departs. We could use the 7 ways of going to enter Suma Castle disguised as a courtesan, use the 7 ways of going to enter Suma Castle disguised as a samurai, try and climb the outer walls of the castle to assess for defences we don't have the climbing skill and it is required, or we could decide that there may be easier flags to find elsewhere and leave the city along the road to the capital city of Nasaka. Now, twice we have attempted to enter the castle and obtain the flag, and if I'm sniffling a lot, it's because I've done a lot of sneezing before I started recording this episode, and I just hope the sneezes don't come back to plague us this time. There was a lot of wind and rain earlier, and I was out in it, unfortunately, and I'm going to be out in it again in about 7 or 8 hours' time, doing the shopping, because the weather doesn't seem like it's going to let up much today either. So, on each occasion we were captured and brought into the banquet hall. If we are brought into the banquet hall, we have already missed our opportunity to obtain the flag. The only way we can obtain it is to enter the castle disguised as a samurai or courtesan. There may be a climbing option that is not currently available to us because we lack the skill. And once inside, to knock out the guards who are escorting me to the banquet hall. This requires an attack roll against I think a defense of 7. So we'd need to roll an 8 or higher on 2 dice, which is slightly harder than average. It might be defense 6, in which case we'd need to roll a 7+, but that's still pretty risky. And it is only by making that attack roll that we could successfully obtain the flag. And we could do that disguised as either a samurai or a courtesan. What would make most sense here would be to decide that the castle is clearly not friendly, and that this is not the best opportunity. We're already 1 flag up, so we might as well head along the road to Nasaka. So let's do that. You leave Suma, travelling west along the paved road. It has been a day without rest, and so you decide to camp off the road and catch what sleep you can in a bamboo grove until daybreak. After this, and a refreshing meal gathered from the land, you are on your way again, dressed as a simple traveller. Restore 5 endurance points. Well, that puts us back on full. Well, let's hope it stays that way for a while. You jog along the road until you see other travellers, where you slow to a walk to avoid any suspicion. You journey on until the road skirts by the forest ahead, and nearby you can hear the gushing river of peace. You see a red kite fluttering high above the tree line, and you come to a halt as you spot a symbol representing a ninja painted in black on it. Could this be a trap for you, or a warning? We could continue along the road, or circumvent this part of the road under the cover of the nearby forest. Now, couple of things before going any further. I could, from Lemne, have decided to cut across country to the west towards Nosaka or Takahiri, thus completely skipping the monks of the Scarlet Mantis at the bridge. But it didn't feel fair to let my fellow monks wander into that ambush, so I accompanied them, defeated the monks of the Scarlet Mantis, and travelled on to Suma. I did look a few sections along each path to see which I would prefer, and I think going to Suma with my gut was the correct way. I did look as far ahead as Nosaka, but hey, there's dice rolls involved and not everything's going to go my way. Now, this is a red kite, and red is the colour of the Scarlet Mantis. The black symbol representing a ninja is a sign a ninja would wear. A sign a ninja would recognise. It's not necessarily a sign a simple traveller would recognise, especially if they were particularly simple-minded. If we take cover, we're avoiding a potential ambush, but if it's a trap, not an ambush, but a trap, then we don't want to alert anyone to the fact that we know what it is. So we'll just continue along the road. And if it's a warning, this is a warning for ninjas. We are not a ninja, we are a simple traveller. Let's not blow our cover just yet. Whoop. There we go. You continue along the road where the kite flaps overhead as if announcing your presence to the whole island. You pass by the low-hanging branch on which it is tied, and you find yourself wondering if this was meant for you, or Aiko, or indeed some other ninja that could be on the island. We could secretly cut the kite down with a shuriken, in which case we'll be alerting everyone in the nearby area to the fact that the kite is no longer flying here anymore. And maybe some ninja would step out of the shadows and say, "Well done, you're a ninja. I would to talk to you about something." Or I'd just get jumped and they'd go, "Gotcha, you fell for the trick because you know what this sign means." I will continue to walk along the road to Nosaka, leaving the kite flying behind me. You continue on west as a light rain shower begins, crossing a bridge over the River of Peace, where blossoming cherry trees overhang and scatter their pink blossom on the road. It occurs to you that it is a little early in the season for them to bloom. From whatever cause, the ambience is more melancholic than peaceful. You approach to see a small plaque made of steel set into the paved road saying, "This commemorates the Battle of the Broken Katana, fought during the Black Lotus Rebellion, where the rebellion won a great victory against the forces of the Black Emperor. May the fallen never be forgotten." You look around, wondering where the battle was fought, and surmise it must have somehow involved the bridge. Even your finely honed senses do not detect the hidden danger in this area. You must make a fate roll. You know, there is a Japanese horror story. It's like a combination of 4 horror stories, I think, woven together. And at one point, the main character is passing along a path. On his way up, he's either just passed a small shrine or there's one up ahead that he hasn't reached yet. And as he passes under a tree, lice fall from the tree and shower all over him and try to... Not lice, leeches. And they try to attach themselves and suck the blood from him, and he is horrified by this. Let's make a fate roll. So we do not have our fate modifier, therefore we are lucky on a 7+. 2 dice. We are not fortunate. Oh well. A branch from the nearest cherry tree slams down on you, its thorn-like protrusions puncturing your skin and drinking your blood. Lose 4 endurance points. Well, at least we were on full health. If you're still alive, you nimbly leap aside as more branches whip at you and you scurry away. You surmise that these trees must have become juboko, plants that have developed an unnatural taste for blood due to the battle once fought here. Indeed, it is said that such trees will bear cherries heavy with the blood of their victims, and possibly out of season. You shiver and hurry on along the paved road. If you have 2 flags, you lucky bastard, you manage to roll really high on an attack roll and get into the secret room in the castle. You bypass Nasaka and take the road west, already having what you need to complete the trial. If not, you must enter the city of Nasaka to seek another flag. Let us do so. You encounter no problems as you head along the road to Nasaka. It is night, and you blend in as one of the many pilgrims travelling inside the gates. You head for the inner stone wall of the traditional old town, passing empty white marble plinths where gold statues of the previous emperors once stood. You see numerous red-armoured samurai here, some carrying lanterns, and you note that there are no sake dens or merchants in this part of the capital. You pass the bowl-like divine scriptorium to find yourself outside the Winter Palace, a sprawling complex with its own stone wall that houses the samurai of the city. Beyond the closed iron gates is the gold statue of the first emperor wearing a kimono of silver. "So, trialist of Kwon, you have arrived," comes a voice from behind you. Someone who knows what we are despite our disguise. You turn to see that the speaker is a white-haired monk in a wicker hat who is blind and carries a bamboo walking stick. He bows to you nonetheless. You ask him how he knows of you. "I am the Master of the Unseen, and I was told by the Grand Master of the Dawn of your forthcoming trial here. I have a test of enlightenment for any who wish to take my daimyo's flag." He walks forward to the iron gates of the Winter Palace, which the samurai opened for him on approach. He beckons to you before tapping his cane on the ground on his way onward. You will get no better opportunity to enter the well-guarded Winter Palace, and so hasten after him across the ornamental gardens to a stone bench opposite a carp pond. He sits and bids you to do likewise. "Your test to earn the flag is one of enlightenment," the monk says. "My first question is this. If your brother monks of Kwon were to fight for a cause that was unjust, who would hold your allegiance? Would you fight with them in an unjust cause, or would you stand apart, even knowing that it could well lead to all their deaths?" Think of a way to answer this question. Write down your answer now. First off, looking at this question at face value, it's a simple, and he's actually posing it as, would you take this side or that side? But this is a test regarding enlightenment, so understanding spiritual matters. We, like him, are a monk, presumably a devout worshipper of Kwon. Furthermore, this task was set by the Grand Master of the Dawn, a high-ranking monk of Kwon. So this is to do with our faith and our spiritual education. Kwon is a god of justice and righteousness, and so he would not desire for us to side with our fellow monks. However, if our fellow monks were fighting for a cause that was unjust, then they would have abandoned the way of Kwon. However, who would define this as unjust? Would it be me? Or would it be some kind of universal judgment of the world based on the opinions of the person setting the question? It would be very easy to say there is no good side here, because while this cause is unjust and unrighteous, that which opposes it may also be scurrilous, villainous, nasty. Should we then be apathetic and paralyzed in fear, unable to pick a side? Not necessarily. Because, as I have said, if my fellow monks were to behave in a manner that is unjust, unrighteous, Kwon would not have commanded them to do so, and thus they would have abandoned their service to him. And I should never do that. In fact, as we know, for the entire 6 books of the series so far, we have never betrayed our faith in the god Kwon. And so we should do as his teachings command, or, in fact, if the great Kwon gifts us with a vision and a spiritual message, we would then know what to do. However, that doesn't tell us what side we should pick in a fight. That tells us we should submit to the will of Kwon. And that is the answer to give. Presumably, it's one of those when the wise man points at the moon, the fool looks at the finger situations. What did you write down as your allegiance? There. So the question was, do you side with your monks or against them? But this is who are you allied with, not who would you side with in a conflict. We have not said neither side or didn't choose something particular. We didn't go for monks. It would be very easy to say what is right and good and correct. But surely the god Kwon would know what is right and good and correct and tell us. So it would be very easy to fall into the trap of this answer. Let's see if this answer is also a trap. My allegiance is to Kwon, you state. I am wholly in the service of the great Redeemer. This also reminds me of the situation in Book 3, where we met Doré Lejeune, and he questioned us on our faith and how to interact with worshippers of other god. And the correct answer was to attempt to convert them to the worship of Kwon, which was a little more proactive than I was expecting, to be honest. The Master of the Unseen nods slowly. I see, for we are all playthings of the gods. Then I have just one more question. In order to have wisdom, you must have truth. To have truth, you must have understanding. And to have understanding, you must have wisdom. Bit of a circular logic here. Which then is the greatest of the three? Wisdom, truth, or understanding? Oh, this is going to be a tough one. Okay, a bit of a chicken and egg situation. All right, so you need wisdom to gain understanding. That is, wisdom to You need the wisdom to gain the understanding, to gain the truth, to gain the wisdom. So it is going round and round in a circle. You have all three. Right, hang on. You know what? I'm kind of inclined to say they must all be equal, for each cannot be attained without the other. You cannot have wisdom without truth. You cannot have truth without understanding. You cannot have understanding without wisdom. So yes, I'm going to say something along the lines of they are all equal. And this may very well cost me the flag and screw me over big time, but let's see. It is included. So we could have picked wisdom, truth, understanding, or, as I said, rank all three equally important because they all help each other, or anything else. So I did go for all three being equal. I hope I haven't screwed myself over here. You are wise indeed, the master says, tapping his bamboo cane against the base of the stone bench. You marvel to see it emerge with a flag on the end of it. The flag itself is white, with a gold trim, and bears the symbol of a black war fan on it. You stand as he holds it out to you, and you tuck it into your belt. Note on your character sheet that you have the flag of Nasaka. It would be nice to imagine I had left the obsidian bracelet with my allies back in Suma, who make lots of excellent health food stuff, by the way. Oh, that reminds me. So flag of Nasaka. Yeah, speaking of health food, what did I happen to see in my local health food shop last week? Let me just go get it. So I have here in my hand a packet of Clear Spring Snack Organic Yemon Tamari roasted cashew nuts. And I thought, if the Master of the Flame has infiltrated this shop, do they have the scrolls of Ketsuin stuffed away in the back room? I joked a little bit about it with one of the staff members. It is spelled exactly the same, which makes me wonder where the Grand Master of the Flame got his name from. Maybe it's a village where they make a particular tamari flavoured sauce, or it's a particular recipe of tamari sauce. I'm not sure, but hey. Yeoman tamari soya sauce. Okay, so yeah, I think it is possibly the sauce. I will probably do an internet search on that sometime later. You have many tests yet ahead of you to become a Grand Master, he says, but you have shown a level of enlightenment that may yet prove you to be worthy. Should you undertake the final test at the Temple of the Rock, remember to say both what is right and what is in your heart. You bow to the Master of the Unseen, grateful of the wisdom that the Grand Masters have imparted to you throughout your training on the Island of Tranquil Dreams. You take your leave. And yet we still have to get across the rest of the island. You catch what little sleep you can in a public park in Nasaka until daybreak. You breakfast lightly on rice wrapped in lotus leaves, eating only enough to sustain you. If you have 2 flags, you have what you need to complete the trial. You take your leave of the city and press on towards the mountains to reach Eiger in time. If you do not have 2 flags, you may yet be able to hasten along the road south for the disreputable city of bridges, Takahiri, if you have not already been there. Okay, so it is possible to go there, theoretically. You only have the time if you made no attempt on the flag in Suma. If you have less than 2 flags, but have made an attempt at Suma, you are running out of time. So, we will head towards the mountain pass and Eiger. Okay, oh dear. I am getting a little tired. I've had a lot of stuff to do. played a massive Oathsworn session earlier, so I got to rearrange whole loads of heavy things, packing it all away again, and doing the post-game admin and everything earlier, before I could even think of recording this. You feel that destiny is on your side in this contest as you have 2 flags, and now you turn your thoughts to passing the formidable mountains of unlimited devotion. Still dressed as a simple traveller, you head for the southern road into the mountains, the most direct route to your ultimate goal of Aiga. The southern road, eh? So we're heading towards Takahiri anyway, and avoiding the palace of the Shogun, instead heading for Kanokura Fortress. Because I wouldn't necessarily say it's that much closer to Aiga. Once it is in sight, you allow yourself another rest off to the side of the paved road, confident that you would not miss any of your fellow competitors, as they must come this way. You continue on refreshed and may restore up to 4 lost endurance points. I'm pretty sure I should be back on full, and neglected to restore endurance points last section. Last section. All you have to do now is to reach the Grand Master of the Dawn at Aiga within the next 3 days, and you can then enter the final trial to become Grand Master of the 5 Winds. Whoa, the trial was not to become a Grand Master, the trial was simply to complete our ninja training, according to Book 1. Something's going on here. And I still feel suspicious about the one monk who went off on his own at the beginning, because he may be responsible for the monks of the Scarlet Mantis being here. You watch the distant mountain range ahead loom larger with every step along the paved road, and at last cross a hump-backed wooden bridge over the Whitewater River, heading towards the crossroads and the road that leads on into the mountains of unlimited devotion. Your gaze is drawn directly ahead, where you see a distant, dark smudge of a figure running, carrying a smoking torch in the daylight. You stand and watch, ready for anything. This immediately reminds me of Viking and Anglo-Saxon lore from the Dark Ages, in which a woman was entitled to own as much land as she could walk around the border of, carrying a flaming torch from sunrise to sunset. The figure draws closer, and you can make out that it is Aiko in her ninja costume, but with her face visible, marked with an expression of fear. She sees you some 50 feet away and skids to a halt. Suddenly she pirouettes, turning to face away from you as a droning noise fills the air. She's trying to protect me and save me. A swarm of giant hornets flies in towards her, and she casts a powder over the torch, causing it to billow with dark smoke. Driven back by the puffing torch, the swarm of hornets hovers, forming the flowing shape of a whirlpool. Oh, bad. Somewhere amongst the droning noise you can hear cruel laughter, then the sound of a man chanting the eldritch words of magic. As if hypnotized by the voice, Aiko's movements become abruptly stiff and involuntary. She reaches into her pack and produces something which she stuffs into her mouth. Is this poison? She falls and starts to convulse, her torch landing nearby. All the while the cruel laughter grows louder in the terrible buzzing of the hornets. Whatever is going on. Look, I'm going to presume she attempted to get into the castle at Suma, and something bad has happened as a result of this. We already know that magic is being used to control and manipulate people in there, but we don't know that. Not on this playthrough. You race in to help Aiko, only to discover she has swallowed part of a highly venomous spiderfish. Aiko looks up at you and shudders. "A mage has set an ambush for us," she manages, her breath acrid. "Save who you can." She trembles violently, then lies still. her dead eyes staring heavenward as if in accusation. The hornets drone on, making the whirlpool they have formed swirl in the air, and in its centre you see a horribly bloodshot disembodied eye watching you. My magic has been scrying for you, worshipper of Kwon, comes an austere voice from somewhere in the swarm. Austere, okay. And when the time comes for us to enact our plan on the mainland, the best of your order will have already fallen here. Now we will feast on death. You hear the sound of a magical chanting again, and involuntarily you pick up the spiderfish and start to place a piece of it into your mouth, trying to gather all of your will to resist the magical influence. We are wearing an obsidian bracelet. We are not carrying an orb of Eo. So we don't need to know about inner force, we just go to section 48, which is going to be somewhere up here, near the top of the document. You somehow find the mental strength to throw off the effects of the spell and cast aside the spiderfish. If you are wearing an obsidian bracelet, it cracks and falls from your wrist. Remove it from your character sheet. Okay, that's serious because he might use his magic against me again. You pick up Aiko's dropped torch and stand defiantly. The hornets buzz angrily, the blood-red eye at the centre of the whirlpool glowering. Then they come for you. We could hurl the torch at the swarm, run for the nearby Whitewater River and dive in, launch a leaping tiger kick at the centre of the swarm. Right, these are magically controlled, so they might follow us down into the water, but generally insects won't be able to do that. Attacking the centre of the swarm, I don't think the mate is really here, and I don't think that a kick is going to do very much. We'll run for the water and dive in. And pray that it's good enough. Oh, that's going to be a fucking auto kill, isn't it? Oh no, maybe not. It's got a bay hit no down. Ah, they both made it out. Brilliant. You sprint for the river, the cloud of hornets chasing after you, their buzzing filling your ears. You leap into the cold water and submerge, the swarm hovering over the water, waiting for you to surface. The blood-red eye in the middle gazes at you with supernatural malice. The seconds fall. If you still have your ninja equipment, you use your breathing tube to remain submerged. If not, you must briefly surface for air and take 1 die of damage to your endurance as the swarm stings you. Mercifully, we still have our ninja equipment. If you still live, your mind races for a way to break the stalemate. Then a figure wades into the river and, heedless of the hornet's stings, claps his hands over the red eye. It vanishes immediately and the hornets fall lifelessly into the water to be washed away. Maybe we should have kicked it after all. You surface to see that the figure is Daon, who appears in no discomfort from the stings, having spent years hardening his body to all kinds of adversity, and yet our immunity to poison wouldn't have stopped us taking stinging damage. So it's the damage of the stings itself, not the poison they inflict necessarily. He helps you get to your feet and asks you what happened. You tell him about Aiko and he clenches his fists. You both walk over to where she still lies splayed on the road. "Someone will pay for what has happened to Aiko," he says quietly. "Oh, someone will pay for what has happened to Aiko," he says quietly, kneeling beside her, head bowed. "I will make them pay." You feel a sense of loss that you last felt so keenly when your foster father Naijishi was taken from you. Except he's still... Wait, no, this is after his death, but before the showdown very shortly after. You suggest that you bury her, promising that she will be avenged. And this is before you even take up the name Avenger. If you're missing any ninja equipment, you may take it from Aiko, as well as adding 1 shuriken. That will take us back up to full. You may also take the venomous spiderfish, which is salted and cured. You may add spiderfish to your character sheet, and note if you choose the poison needle skill that you may now use it. We have the spiderfish. Spiderfish does whatever a fuck off. There we go, spiderfish venom. Right. The last I saw her, she was headed for Nasaka, Daon comments, looking over your shoulder. She has no flags on her. Perhaps she discovered about the ambush here and rushed ahead to try and prevent it. You comment that you will never know. You both hold a short burial ceremony, during which Daon recites the Catechism of the Redeemer. You both agree to wait and see if any other trialists come by, so you can travel on together to help with each other against any further ambush. Did you attempt to retrieve the flag in Nara? We did not. Nara is all the way down there. What's his name went for it? We did not. We have come the other way. Whew. You tell Daon of your journey so far, but you do not know the fate of Shigeru or Gorobe. Last time I saw Aiko was when we left Suma, Daon says. There have been too many coincidences on this journey, including an ambush by monks of the Scarlet Mantis who were waiting for followers of Kwon. Someone has orchestrated all these problems against us, and at the moment, before we knew of the existence of this mage, I would have been tempted to suspect Shigeru, because of the way he behaved at the beginning. You can only agree, and you hope to get a chance to settle the score. Daon paces restlessly like a caged tiger. He says you should grab some rest from your ordeal against the Hornets, and that he will keep watch as you wait for the others. You sit cross-legged and fall into meditation. You feel Kwon's gaze upon you in this crucial trial, uplifting your dejected spirit and easing the weariness from your limbs. You may restore 1 point of inner force and restore 2 endurance. That also restores our inner force to its full capacity. After a while, Daon calls out and you shiver as your spirit re-enters your body, your eyes snapping open. You see another traveller on the road. It is Gorobe, his tall and muscular frame marking him out even from a distance. Your meeting with him is a sad one. Aiko's death weighs heavily on you all as you tell him of what happened. I should have known something was wrong, Gorobe says, fist flexing in impotent anger. I have never known so many difficulties on these roads. You wait for a while, hopeful to see the small frame of Shigeru on the horizon, but as the sun creeps across the sky, your fears for your missing fellow contestant increase. Last we know, he was headed for Nara, Daon says. Maybe we should head back there to look for him. We don't have time. Gorobe shakes his head. He could be anywhere by now, even ahead of us. We have to keep moving west for Aiga. You and Daon rejectedly agree that nothing can be done for Shigeru. You take the opportunity to turn your ninja costume inside out so that the white material is now showing, hoping to appear better camouflaged in the snowy peaks ahead. Daon raises an eyebrow at your new attire, but says nothing. Soon all 3 of you set off west towards the mountains of unlimited devotion, leaving Aiko's grave behind you. And with that, I think we shall end the episode here. I'm going to try to not even look at that new section. We have 338. There we go. I'm doing that because my throat's getting very dry. It's nearly 4 in the morning. And I need to go shopping tomorrow. And the local buses don't run in the afternoons after 2:15, and transport back with a load of shopping can be tricky. So, I'll bid you all a good night. I hope you all enjoyed this episode, and I'll have fun trying to find a suitable picture for the thumbnail. Probably the castle from Suma, bizarrely, because it's about the only picture we've come across this session. And I'll look forward to seeing you all next time, when hopefully I won't have such a blocked nose and won't be sniffling, and at least I haven't sneezed during this episode. That's great. So, yeah, bye for now, and take care, everyone. See you all next time.